Libra, welcome to your Setting Your North Star, North Compass reading. So just to give you an idea of how this reading's going, there's a couple of majors, 3 majors and not very many cards. And it's talking about a progression where you have some really sort of loving energies at your disposal in order to get into your most kind of well-orientated position and set your course in the right direction. But there's a little bit of defensiveness. So we'll dive in and work out what that's about so that we can sort of free up some of the energy. If you're interested in that, I'll just dive in. So in your attitude around setting yourself on the right course, as it were, you've got these 2 lovely cards, the Wheel of Fortune and the Strength card. 2 majors, so it's indicating that this is a moment when you're wanting to really gird your loins and get going and create some change. It's sort of, there's been maybe a period of stagnation and now you're thinking, actually, I need to jump in and make something happen. And the way that you'll be doing it, and it's interesting because we've got both the female and the male magician here on the spread, is with the female magician who makes things happen in a very kind of calm, showy way. And you might think, if you were in her orbit, that it was your idea that something was happening, but actually she's making something happen quite carefully and gently. And this illustration, she looks very gentle towards this lion, which can be her own subconscious impulses that can be less than helpful if they're let to go rampant, or it can be those in other people. But the lion's completely submitting. It looks a bit uncomfortable, but it's not trying to fight her. And I love how large she is on the landscape with those, everything feels a little bit sillily small underneath her. But notice the infinity symbol above her head. So you're really at a moment with great skill of, you just, with a sort of soft magician's energy, nothing too punchy, you really want to get going. Your root skills are the Queen of Cups. So being very loving, being very nurturing. I think this gives you quite a wide sphere of influence, because this is, as a root skill, you're so tapped into that heart energy that other people might find it quite appealing, especially when I see the strength there. That's probably how you influence, consciously or unconsciously. And it's a deep skill, and it's a lovely nurturing, and it's a needed energy in the world at the moment. It's strange, I wouldn't normally say any of those things. So anyway, what to let go of, the 9 of Wands. Being defensive, this is just a stage. You see these lines here. Pamela Coleman Smith was a stage set designer, so she often puts figures on the stage, which to me feels like it's only going to last a little while, and it needs to move on. It needs to be a stepping stone in order to make it work. It needs to be like a series of notes rather than a full stop. So you can acknowledge where you've been hurt, become the wounded healer, put your defenses up, not be a mug, but you can't get stuck in that energy. It needs to sort of move forward, develop into something. So what we're being asked to do is let go of any defensiveness, let go of those kind of, I don't want to take anything on. There's, it would be sort of having a slight resistance to setting your course because you've been hurt in the past. If you've had aspirations to create, and somebody at school or whatever rained on your parade, that would be one example where you wouldn't want to move forward, for instance. And we're being asked to let go of that resistance, and instead the way to set our course is with the actual magician. So you've got them one on top of each other, both the infinity symbols on their heads. And the magician has everything he needs on his stable 4-legged table: the pentacle, the cup, the knife, the sword rather, and the wand. And he's holding this as above, so below stance as he points at the floor and points at the sky. This bower of kind of success above him. Both of these cards have this beautiful yellow energy, and he has the infinity symbol and also the snake around his waist, the Ouroboros, I think you call it. And it's this idea of the sort of changing and morphing and health. anyway, the missing ingredient to everything with the well, it's not missing for the magician, but the most important ingredient is his will. So intention. That's how you set your course. You've got to write some goals down, possibly really think what this coming year you can start preparing for 26, or make a sprint to the end of the year and think, what is it that I really want to achieve? Is that kind of energy next year, sort of thinking into the feelings of what it would feel like to be financially secure, creatively fulfilled in a loving relationship. Those are top obvious kind of things that people want, but it can be all sorts of things, healings and social aspirations in terms of kind of good communities, and so you need to get, because we know you have this persuasive, loving nature, you need to get your will in order so that it sort of brings in a bit more of a drive, so that you don't get lost in the sort of soft, loving, nurturing, potentially codependent, but certainly very focused on other people's needs kind of energies. You need to start thinking about what it is you want to bring down into the world. And where it's all leading, we've got the Five of Swords and another cup, the Knight of Cups. So sort of he's driving, it might be that you choose to avoid these sort of uncomfortable fights with an offer of peace. But I need to sort of pull some more cards to delve deeper in that, because that's what it feels like. It's sort of, or from out of a fight comes peace. But let's have a look. And it could be with a fight with yourself, obviously. The Star, lovely. So the Star normally is 17, here it's at 5. The Star would be the star of bright hopes and dreams, healing, the new moon of the High Priestess there, being connected to all that it is that will heal you. So is that healing you from whatever it is that the strength needs to fight with, whatever this Five of Swords is. It's a line that runs across this, whatever you're feeling defensive of. I suppose we can't ignore it. There is something that you've fought with internally, perhaps this kind of criticism that was what was coming to me, or in other people, and you always have met it, I think, with this loving attitude, this kind of softness, and we're being asked to bring a little bit more will down, a little bit more, okay, we know you're loving and soft, but what about what it is you want? And here the Star talks about what your hopes and dreams are. This is what she's thinking about in this pool by these roots under the night sky, with the dragonfly of transformation. And I'm looking at the fish that's swimming with her, and also this sort of pile of stones here. Oh, sorry, there, which looks almost like a wine bottle when I look at it. Anyway, so let's build a bit more. So let's have another tarot card and see if we can build on any further information for Libra on how to set their course in the correct way. Well, more of this disciplined energy, the Emperor, he's much less showy and sort of fiery in a way than the Magician, but he's got that red coat on again, and he's about a kind of very definitive principle of what he wants. So I find that quite interesting. Let's pick another one from that. So there's we've got to sort of mix in from the softness of your true nature, something a little bit tougher, which will then make you feel less defensive because you're ready to defend yourself. And then the High Priestess. She is so similar to the High Priestess to me in energies, isn't she? Because she's got the new moon. Where is the new moon on this one? She must be in her head, I think. In her, yeah, is she showing up there? In her headdress? Oh, no, she's in her hand. There's always a new moon with the High Priestess that she's kind of got a grasp on. And these two have both got a grasp on it. So I think it's kind of emphasizing that kind of energy, which is, how do we get hold of that strength, that intention, that sense of really, I definitively want this and I'm going from it? We do it via this soft, intuitive, healed part of ourselves that can kind of talk to the mystical. And anything else that this deck wants to say? The Five of Cups. Yeah. because again, let's get from out of concentrating on what hasn't worked into what's amazing just behind us, this ship, these flowering teacups. There's something that, because there's something that you'll miss if you don't turn around and get into this kind of starry high priestess type energy. You need to stop now just for a moment. What am I going to pick next? To get into that energy so that you don't miss a beat and don't miss this alignment with your in the I guess a magician that feels full of integrity to you, so it doesn't feel as if it's just being willful for willful sake. It has to have the soulful part to it as well. And then we've got the Queen of Swords. Well, she is very kind of similar to the Emperor in a way, even though she's a queen, not a king, and the Emperor is made up of all the kings. She looks like him, doesn't she? They've both got these kind of feathered motifs around them. She's looking straight at us, and it's saying she is the flip of the Queen of Cups, and it's saying just bring a little bit of a toughness into your energy. We don't want you not to be your beautiful self, but in order that you don't feel so fragile in the face of these kind of fights and this kind of defensiveness that you're having to put on, you have to get a bit of metal about you. And this Queen of Swords has got this interesting she's covered in blood, but she doesn't seem to care. She's ready to go for you. And who are those eyes at the back? Who's got her back? Is it like one of Circe's dogs or some sort of spirit animal that or guardian angel that protects you? I'm not sure. Let's get an oracle from these ones. Let's get an oracle for these ones. Anything else to add? Okay, we've got the Queen Bee, very powerful character, and change of seasons. Maybe this is saying that the worm has turned. There's a change of seasons. You're turning into a bit more of a Queen Bee, a kind of Queen of, less of a Queen of Cups and more of the Queen of Swords. In fact, as I said that, I knocked the Queen of Cups off the table just to emphasize it. Let's have a look in the little book and we'll see. So the change of seasons 42 says, transformation, life's ups and downs, development. In the center of this card stands a woman surrounded by blowing leaves, flowers and snowflakes. As the wind blows them swirling up to her, she raises an arm in protection or welcome. We are not sure. The card reminds us that seasons change just as we do. Nothing is ever still, nor a river, not even the mighty oak, and certainly not us. We are in constant state of transformation, even when we feel overwhelmed. If we can just quietly be, like the High Priestess, like the energy of the star, we will be moving in spite of ourselves. When life swirls around us, let the certainty of the cycle of seasons be a grounding force. Yeah, it's kind of encouraging you to allow this transformation. And then the Queen Bee, number 11. Let's see what she really means. Strength, like our strength card. Growth and motherhood. That's nice. Maybe someone's becoming a mother. Madam Queen Bee is big and strong, yet gentle and mothering. This is the energy we're talking about you integrating. The strength that has that kind of female magician. We've got the Queen of Cups, but we want you to integrate the male and the female, the sort of the male magician and the female magician. We want a genuine sort of partnership between those. Big and strong, yet gentle and mothering. Her skirt is a flower tower, a home for bees that sustain our ecosystem. She gives strength, power, and life to her surroundings. She is Mother Nature. She is responsible for the tulips that send energy into the world and all that grows to know the beauty of each day. Her children are the children of Earth. She nurtures us all. So she's a bit like an empress, is the feeling of her. But the bees, the busy bees, that's a lovely message. I do think it's about integrating these two energies. I want to pull one or two more. These are a nice oracle card. Let's try these. oracles, and then we've got 2 more oracles and maybe a capping out. But I think we're getting there with your reading. I'm understanding what the energy is about. Radical curiosity. Seeing as if for the first time every time. That's lovely. It's a new perspective that we're being asked to take on board. Where's the little book? Here we go. Lantern Oracle. What number is it? Number 2. The maiden reminds you that you always have the power to change a routine that stifles your ability to see life with the excitement, possibility, and magic of a child. She encourages the reawakening of your innate radical curiosity and openness. May you enjoy a return to your fresh and unique perspective. May you also allow yourself to express what inspires you creatively. Radical curiosity is the maiden's alchemy, and you too. I love that. So it's bringing this kind of youthful energy into this sort of very mature, loving female energy. She's also sort of then allowing this kind of passionate, youthful energy of curiosity and looking at the world's beauty, and quite a teenage energy. It's kind of slightly like the page of Pentacles, almost page of Wands, almost, like sort of, oh my god, everything's so exciting, I'm in the world, what's it got to offer me? So maybe once you've got some strength back, that will start to come. And then, oh, that's far too many. Let's get Forest of Enchantment card, please. What have we got here? The Gingerbread House. We know that can be a bit dodged, but let's see how they write about it here. Number 11. There was another number 11, the Queen Bee. Okay, so how does this refer? This one. Temptations, the illusion of comfort, harmful habits, unforeseen problems, troublesome divisions. Be cautious, don't rush into anything. Make a plan to deal with possible obstacles and threats. This is not a time. This is a time for realistic assessment, not uninformed optimism. It's not that things will go bad for certain, but they could. Think twice at least before proceeding. So that feels like this is the energy that it's cautioning against. Where it could go is you being a little bit naive and loving and wanting to sort of see the best in everything, but not seeing that there might be a bit of a fight there. And the way that we get over that bit of a fight, I think, is through bringing in this metal of the, as in, you know, strength of the Queen of Swords, the Magician, that stops us being defensive and starts us being just ready and prepared and not naive. The Scythe. These are the Lenormand, which I don't know, but I love these ones because they're using Pamela Coleman Smith's illustrations, and I must learn them at some point just for something fun new to play with. Right, the Scythe. So it's talking about accidents, aggression, cruelty, sharp, cutting, hostile, toothache, separation. Once again, part of the sinister seven appears as the Scythe. It's a card of warning and danger. As with Clouds cards, you need to pay attention to the orientation of the scythe and notice in which way it's cutting. Here, the direction of what it's cutting is to the right. So it's saying if I'd pulled many of those cards, we would have seen what was to the right, but we've only got it in one card. So the handle of the scythe is made up of a wand from the 8 of Wands, bringing the swift action of that card. The blade is made up of the sword from the 9 of Swords. A situation of great loss. The field of the Knight of Pentacles has been planted full of the Empress's wheat. Okay, so that's interesting. Despite this kind of aggressive and negative imagery, there is the wheat of the 9 of Pentacles, the Empress, and then the sort of feeling of the Knight of Pentacles is there, maybe looking after it for her. We definitely can't leave it at that. Oops. So let's get a Salvador Dali and see what he's got to say. Come on. So how, if you're saying they need to be careful, what's the added advice? The 9 of Cups. Be careful not to miss your wish. You know, do the wish. Make sure that the way that you could lose your energy is by not setting your intentions. I think that's what we had right in the beginning. The devil, getting involved in your passions to allow you on a journey with this Three of Wands into some sort of reciprocity or fairness and balance with the Six of Pentacles. You have to, I think, integrate some of your more punchy energies to balance the sort of deep loving nature that can get a little bit overridden by others and forget your own intentions. I think that's what this is about. Let's see, too many cards, half the deck. Clarify that for us. Clarify that for us. Yeah, temperance, alchemy, you know, getting everything into its right order. It's talking about a kind of alchemy of these different qualities, the sort of extremely empathetic with the extremely tough. You need to allow, well, it's all the integration of the shadow potentially, but it's a pause while you get those bits sorted. And then the Two of Pentacles, yes, it feels like that is what you're doing. You're juggling these two parts of yourself because potentially they are quite separate, but you have both those sides to yourself. So how can Libra bring these two sides together so that it doesn't feel an effort for her to get into her magician and all of that? The Page of Wands is back to that excitable energy of this. That's how you bring it together. And I think that's really profound, and I really see that now. I understand that sometimes we have parts of ourselves, it might be a teenage part of yourself that are very naughty, wild, or excitable, artistic, open, slightly rebellious side of yourself that is very excited by things, that is motivated by its desire to experience. And that side of yourself will be a little bit more self-serving, potentially, not in a kind of cruel way, but because it's so excited. And so maybe if you can see that when you're setting your intentions, it's not sort of against anyone else, even if it means sometimes you don't have quite as much energy to give to other people. Think about it in the way that that sort of teenage energy of self-expression, of enjoyment, of experiencing life for the first time in that teenage era, that is not selfish. It's just living and experiencing. And if you can think about getting in touch with that every day, it might make it much easier for you to be a little bit tougher, because you'll be so excited about going after those boundaries. You'll be setting the boundaries because you'll be so excited about what you want to experience, and then that sets you off without becoming too empathetic. I hope that helps. See you again.